A 30-year-old making $60,000 a year has a median net worth of about $7,000. A 40-year-old making $80,000 has maybe $18,000 to their name. Someone at 50, even pulling in six figures, typically sits at around $43,000 in total net worth. And I'm not cherry-picking some depressing outlier data here. This is the median American worker. Half of people are doing worse than this. These are folks with careers, with nice apartments, with car payments on vehicles that cost more than their entire net worth. They're earning real money. Over a 40-year career, even at modest salaries, most people will gross well over $1 million in total lifetime income. And yet, 34 of them will never accumulate $100,000 in actual wealth. Not in retirement accounts, not in investment portfolios, not anywhere. The money comes in, the money goes out, and at the end of every month, every year, every decade, the net worth sits at basically nothing. A rounding error. So, here's the question that should genuinely bother you. Where does all that money go? Here's what I'm going to show you. The path to $100,000 in net worth is a specific psychological gauntlet that most people fail without even realizing they're being tested. And once you understand why that number is so hard to reach, you'll also understand why it's the only number that actually matters. Because there's a threshold effect that kicks in at 100,000 that fundamentally changes how wealth works. The first 100,000 is a war of discipline. The second 100,000 is just math. I'm going to walk you through the 4 traps that keep people stuck below 6 figures in net worth, why your brain is wired to fall into every single one of them, and what actually changes when you cross that threshold. By the way, I built a free early retirement calculator because most online ones are mathematically wrong. It uses BlackRock and Vanguard logic to expose the weak points in your plan, and I only ask for your email to send the report so I don't store any of your financial data. Link in the description. Think of wealth building like one of those old arcade games. You know, the ones you feed in quarter after quarter, and for the longest time nothing happens. You're just losing money. The machine takes and takes. But if you can feed it enough quarters, if you can get to a certain threshold, suddenly the machine starts spitting quarters back at you. Eventually, it's spitting out more than you're putting in. That's exactly how the first $100,000 works. You are feeding the machine. It feels like you're losing because you're putting money into investments and your lifestyle isn't improving. There's no immediate payoff. Most people quit during this phase because they don't understand they're still loading the machine. They think the game is broken. It's not broken. They just stopped playing before it started paying out. The first trap is what I call the invisible tax, but most people know it as lifestyle creep. Let's say you're making $55,000 a year. You're getting by. Then you switch jobs. Suddenly, you're at $70,000, $15,000 raise. You just won, right? Here's what actually happens. That extra $15,000 gets immediately allocated before you even think about it. You move to a nicer apartment because you can finally afford that extra bedroom. There goes $4,000 a year. You upgrade your car because the old one was kind of embarrassing and you're a professional now. There's another $300 a month. Call it $3,600 a year. You start eating out more. Better restaurants because you've earned it. Add another $2,000. Gym membership at the nice place instead of the budget chain. Streaming services you never watch, but everyone has. New wardrobe because you need to look the part. And suddenly that $15,000 raise has evaporated into $15,000 of new recurring expenses. You're making more money, and somehow you still have nothing left at the end of the month. This is the psychological trap. Your brain doesn't compare your current lifestyle to your past lifestyle. It compares your lifestyle to your peer group and your income level. You make more, so you feel entitled to spend more. And the economy is designed to help you do exactly that. Every retailer, every car dealership, every landlord has figured out that when your income goes up, they can charge you more. They're not stupid. They know you'll pay it. You've got a better job now. You can afford it. Here's the thing nobody wants to admit. Feeling wealthy and being wealthy are not the same thing. Feeling wealthy is driving a leased luxury car and living in a trendy neighborhood. Being wealthy is having assets that could pay for that car and that apartment without you working another day. One is a costume you rent. The other is actual economic power. The person making $60,000 who lives like they make $40,000 will always outlap the person making $120,000 who lives like they make $120,000. It's not even close. The math is brutal and it doesn't care about your feelings. Now, you might be thinking, okay, but I need a car. I need a place to live. I'm not saying live in a cave. I'm saying the instinct to immediately upgrade your life the second your income ticks up is a trap that resets your wealth to zero every single time. If you get a 20% raise and immediately increase your spending by 20%, congratulations. You just ran in place at a higher speed. The second trap is the payments mentality. And this one is so deep in the culture that most people don't even recognize it as a trap. Quick test. How much does a car cost? If your brain immediately translated that into monthly payments, you've been infected. This is the financial equivalent of thinking about cigarettes in terms of how good each one feels instead of cumulative lung damage. When you think in payments, you lose all concept of actual cost. A $35,000 car financed over 72 months at 5% interest is $412 a month. Sounds reasonable, right? You can swing $412 a month. But here's what you actually just agreed to. You're paying over $35,000 for something that's worth $28,000 the second you drive it off the lot. You're underwater immediately, and you'll be making that payment for 6 years. 72 months. That's 6 years of your life where $412 is spoken for before you even see your paycheck. Add in insurance, which went up because you financed a newer car. Add in maintenance. Add in registration. That affordable $412 a month is actually more like $600 when you account for the true cost of ownership. And it's not just cars. It's everything now. Buy now, pay later for a couch. 0% APR for 12 months on a credit card. Then 29% forever after. Payment plans for phones, for laptops, for furniture, for appliances. The entire consumer economy has shifted to making you think in terms of monthly payments instead of actual prices. Because the second you think in payments, you'll buy things you absolutely cannot afford. I was looking at payment calculators online the other day, just for fun, and there are literally calculators that will tell you how expensive a car you can afford based on your income. And the answer is always higher than what you should actually buy because the calculator isn't working for you. It's working for the dealership. Here's a structural problem. Every single one of these payments is an anchor. It's a recurring expense that has to be paid before you can even think about investing. You work, you get paid, and immediately that money is allocated. Car payment, credit card minimum, student loans, furniture financing, phone payment plan. What's left? Maybe nothing. Probably nothing. And this is how people spend decades on a treadmill, making real money and building zero wealth. The money comes in and goes right back out to service debt on things that are declining in value. It's a perfect system for keeping you poor while making you feel like you're participating in the economy. The third trap is what I call time arbitrage failure, but it's really just the compounding growth that you're not giving enough time to work. Most people think they can save their way to $100,000. Just stack cash in a savings account, maybe a high-yield savings account, paying 4% if you're lucky, and they think they'll get serious about investing later when they make more money, later when they understand the market better, later when they're more financially stable, and then later becomes never, or later becomes too late. Let me show you some math that should make you uncomfortable. If you invest $500 a month starting at age 25, assuming an average market return of 8%, you'll hit $100,000 by your mid-30s. That's $500 a month, $35 a week. The cost of 3 drinks at a bar. Start at $35 instead. Same $500 a month. Same 8% returns. You'll have about $50,000 by your mid-40s. Half as much. Start at $45. You're looking at maybe $20,000 by your mid-50s. Same money going in every month. Same returns, just different start dates. This is compound interest, and it requires time. That's the ingredient most people refuse to give it. You know what's wild? People will spend hours researching which index fund has the lowest expense ratio, trying to save 0.05% 5% in fees, but they'll delay investing for 5 years because they're waiting to feel ready. That 5-year delay costs you more than a lifetime of expense ratios. It's not even close. The difference between starting at 25 and starting at 35 is tens of thousands of dollars, maybe hundreds of thousands by retirement, just because of time. And yet, people treat investing like this optional thing they'll get around to eventually, like learning Spanish or taking up yoga. You know what the market doesn't care about? Your feelings of readiness. It doesn't wait for you to figure it out. Every month you delay is a month of compound growth you'll never get back. I've been running my own business for over a decade now, and I'm surrounded by accountants and fiscal lawyers who taught me something important. They don't try to time the market. They don't wait for the perfect entry point. They just consistently put money into the market month after month, year after year, because they understand that time in the market beats timing the market every single time. I've got multiple hundreds of thousands of dollars invested now. And the only reason that's possible is because I started early enough for compounding to do the actual work. The fourth trap is asset confusion. Most people genuinely don't know the difference between an asset and a liability. They think they do, but they don't. They think their car is an asset. It's not. It's a liability. It costs you money every month, and it goes down in value. They think their designer wardrobe is an asset. It's not. It's worth maybe 10 cents on the dollar the second you walk out of the store. They think their furniture, their electronics, their collectibles, these are assets. They're not. They're expensive decorations. An asset is something that puts money in your pocket. A stock, an index fund, a bond, a rental property if you do it right, a small business. These things generate cash flow or appreciate in value while you sleep. Everything else, no matter how nice it looks or how much you paid for it, is a liability. It costs you money to own it. The middle class buys liabilities and calls them assets. The wealthy buy actual assets and let those assets buy the liabilities later. That's the difference. It's not income. Plenty of high-income people are broke because they take that income and immediately convert it into liabilities. Nice car, nice apartment, nice clothes, nice vacations, all liabilities. The money goes out and nothing comes back in. Let me give you a concrete example. Two people. Person A makes $70,000 a year, lives in a modest apartment for $1,200 a month, drives a 10-year-old Camry. That's paid off, and invests $1,000 a month into a total stock market index fund. Person B makes $110,000 a year, lives in a luxury apartment for $2,800 a month, drives a leased BMW for $600 a month, and invests nothing because after all their expenses, there's nothing left. After 10 years, Person A has over $150,000 invested, growing at 8% a year. Person B has $0 invested and is still making lease payments. Person A is wealthier despite making $40,000 less per year. How? Assets versus liabilities. Person A bought things that grow in value. Person bought a lifestyle that evaporates the second the paychecks stop. This is where it gets really interesting. Why does $100,000 even matter? It's not an arbitrary number. It's a psychological and mathematical threshold. Once you hit $100,000 in invested assets, compound interest starts working harder than you do. At $100,000, an 8% annual return is $8,000. That's $666 a month in growth that you didn't have to work for. Your money is making money. And here's the thing, that $8,000 compounds next year. So year 2, you're not just growing on $100,000, you're growing on $108,000 plus whatever you contributed. The snowball is rolling now. Getting from 0 to $100,000 might take you 8 years of disciplined saving and investing. Getting from $100,000 to $200,000 might take 4 years. Getting from $200,000 to $400,000 might take 3. The numbers start accelerating because you finally fed the arcade machine enough quarters. Now it's spitting them back at you. Charlie Mayer, Warren Buffett's longtime partner, said, "The first 100,000 is a challenge, but you got to do it. I don't care what you have to do. If it means walking everywhere and not eating anything that wasn't purchased with a coupon, find a way to get your first $100,000. That's the hard part. After that, it's just math." The reason most people never reach this threshold is because they fail one or more of these 4 traps. They increase their lifestyle every time their income goes up. They finance everything and think in payments instead of total cost. They delay investing thinking they'll start later when they're ready. And they buy liabilities while thinking they're building wealth. Every single one of these traps resets your progress to 0. You can't compound wealth if you're spending every dollar you make. You can't build assets if you're drowning in payments on things that depreciate. You can't harness time if you keep delaying. So what actually works? It's not complicated, but it's hard. First, eliminate all high-interest debt. Anything above 7 or 8% interest, kill it immediately. You cannot out-invest 20% credit card interest. It's mathematically impossible. Pay off the cards. Pay off personal loans. Get out from under that weight. Second, build a $10,000 emergency fund. This is your buffer. This stops you from going back into debt the next time your car breaks down or you have a medical bill. Put it in a high-yield savings account. Don't touch it unless it's a genuine emergency. Third, automate your investing. Set up automatic transfers from your checking account to a brokerage account, at least $500 a month if you can, more if possible, into a boring index fund. S&P 500, total stock market, whatever. Just make it automatic so you never see the money and you can't talk yourself out of it. And fourth, this is the one that separates people who build wealth from people who stay broke. Live like you make half of what you actually make. I know that sounds extreme, but if you can do this for even 5 years, the compounding effect is absurd. Most people live at 100% of their income. Some live at 110% financed on credit. If you can live at 50% and invest the difference, you will sprint past everyone. It won't feel good at first. You'll drive the same car while your friends lease new ones. You'll live in a smaller place. You'll skip the fancy dinners and the weekend trips. But in 5 years, you'll have a net worth that makes those sacrifices look trivial. And in 10 years, you'll be financially untouchable while everyone else is still making payments. The formula is simple. Income minus expenses equals investable surplus. Time plus investable surplus plus compound returns equals wealth. You need all 3. High income helps, but it's not required. I know people earning $50,000 a year who will retire millionaires because they mastered their expenses and started investing early. And I know people earning $200,000 a year who will work until they die because they bought a lifestyle instead of assets. The difference isn't the paycheck. It's the gap between what comes in and what goes out, and how long you let that gap compound in the market. Let me be very clear about something. The path to $100,000 in net worth is not exciting. It's boring. It's repetitive. It's watching your index fund go up 3% in a month and being genuinely happy about it. It's driving a paid-off car for 8 years while everyone around you finances new ones every 3. It's bringing leftovers to work while your coworkers order delivery. It's saying no to trips and gadgets and upgrades because you're feeding the machine. You are loading quarters into the arcade game, and it feels like losing because there's no immediate payoff. The dopamine hit of a new purchase is real and immediate. The dopamine hit of watching your net worth slowly tick up is delayed and abstract. Your brain is not wired for delayed gratification. That's why most people fail this test. But here's what nobody tells you. Once you cross 100,000, everything changes. The second 100,000 comes faster. The third comes faster still. And suddenly, you're building wealth at a pace that would have seemed impossible when you were at 0. You've reached the point where the machine is paying you. The game is rigged against you in the beginning. I'm not going to sugarcoat that. The economy wants you to consume. Every advertisement, every social media post, every car commercial, every credit card offer is designed to get you to spend money you don't have on things you don't need. The system is built to keep you on the treadmill. But if you can survive the gauntlet to $100,000, you've made it to the other side. You've proven you can delay gratification, resist lifestyle creep, avoid the debt trap, and give compounding time to work. 3 takeaways. 1. Every raise you get, invest at least half of it before you even think about upgrading your lifestyle. Automate it. Make it disappear. 2. If you're financing anything other than a house, you're probably making a mistake. If you can't buy it in cash, you can't afford it. 3. Start investing now. Not next month, not next year. Now. Open a brokerage account. Set up an automatic transfer. Buy an index fund. The best time to start was 10 years ago. The second best time is today. Lazy investing built more fortune than crypto memes. The people who got rich from index funds didn't try to beat the market. They didn't day trade. They didn't chase meme stocks. They just consistently bought the entire market month after month, decade after decade, and let compounding do the work. It's boring. It's not viral, but it works. Now go get that first 100,000.